All right, I'm starting the stream. That should take a second or two. 22nd. We are live streaming on the internet and recording on YouTube, so please be cognizant of that. And there is no demo for this week due to the Helm Summit, so we're going to go right into release updates, graph of the week with Josh, and then some SIG updates. So, Jace, take it away with the release updates.
All right. So we are in week 8 of 12 in the 110 release cycle. Things are going to start rolling fast now. The full schedule is linked in the community meeting notes. There is a link that will tell you more about what the various things we're talking about here mean. Specifically this week we're in Code Slush. And I'm going to turn the mic over for a moment to Josh, who is our main bug slayer slash issue tracker for this release, and he'll give a little bit of update on what we're doing with that and why.
Okay, let me actually share yesterday's issue burn down, which is in chat there, if you want to link to that. And I will also put it in the doc. There we go. We're in Code Slush, which is really just an opportunity to get your issues and PRs in order for Code Freeze, which happens on Monday. Things are a little on the messy side. Particularly, we seem to have a lot of issues, some of them with related PRs, that are things that got started either they got kicked out of 1.9 because they weren't ready, or they got started right around Code Freeze for 1.9, and then have not had much in the way of activity in the last month or two. I've hassled everybody about who's involved with those issues about them. Not all SIGs have been equally responsive. If you have something that's open against the 1.10 milestone that isn't going to be in 1.10, please remove it from the milestone as soon as possible. As a reminder, what happens on Monday is any issues and PRs that are going to stay in the milestone need to have all of the things. And by all of the things, that means they have to have the required labels, kind and priority, and a priority of important soon, priority of failing test or higher. And they also need to have approved for milestone from the SIG leads, or they will be removed from the 1.10 milestone by the automation. So please figure out what's actually getting done for 1.10 and what's not getting done, and remove the issues and PRs that are not getting done so we can maybe release 1.10 on time.
Great, thank you so much. So as Josh mentioned, we're going to be hitting Code Freeze on Monday, and what Code Freeze does is it allows us to stabilize the release branch. It gives us a chance for SIGs to not necessarily focus on anything but bug fixes and making sure that the release fidelity is good. This is our chance to continue our trend of producing very high quality releases for the Kubernetes community. So we expect SIGs to take this period of time very seriously and not see it as a resting period, but a time to really introspect into code segments that you own and identify key pieces of functionality that need to be addressed or fixed to improve release quality. This also means tests. If there are tests that you have that are flaky, if you're SIG owns, please make your best effort to resolve those flakes as we move forward. Again, these are all things that we're trying to do to isolate release quality because we have a very good track record, and I don't want to see that ruined. Because it's easy to lose trust with the community with the release that goes bad. So it's incredibly important for us to maintain due diligence and try and focus as much attention on that as possible in this time. So, not to harp on it, but please make sure that your SIGs are looking at what open issues you have and triaging those. As I said, there are some things still going into the release branch. If there's an exception that you need to have me look at and have the release team look at, we can do so in partnership with the SIG that owns the issue. You can email me or hit me up on Slack at jdumars, and I'll be happy to help coordinate whatever activities need to happen in order to get something into the release branch after code freeze. And we're very lax in terms of if you've got a bug fix that needs to go in, we're gonna take it pretty seriously and see if we can get in there. So don't think that code freeze means that there's absolutely nothing going in. So it's really about trying to just rate limit what's going in and making sure that we're not accidentally destabilizing the release branch. Lastly, just if somebody comes to your SIG meeting on behalf of the release team, please give your best effort to help them out. Getting docs done is a perennial challenge, and I know that documentation is a lot of hard work, and it's sometimes unclear about who needs to do it. But if your SIG is releasing something that has user-facing impact, please make sure that is documented in terms of the regular K8s.io documentation or in the release notes themselves. Again, this is our key part of our contract with our community to preserve vigilance and visibility and all those things that make Kubernetes so great from the user and community perspective. So that's pretty much what I have. I sincerely appreciate the countless hours of hard work that go into a release and the release team. Thank you. And as a community, we should be thanking all the release team members every chance you get, because this is a very involved and time-consuming process. We're working on making it less so, but until it is, there's a lot of human hours and effort that go into this, and I appreciate it. So that's all I got, George. Back to you.
Broken mute button. Okay, and over to Josh for the graph of the week.
Hi, everybody. My screen sharing's not working, so Paris or somebody else, if you could actually bring up the first of those graphs, actually bring up the graph that I linked as PRs.
What's the graph you're doing? I'm sorry.
If you look in the notes under graph of the week, the one that's linked as PRs.
There we go.
Thank you.
Awesome.
So these are recent additions to our dashboards. These are recent additions to the dashboards that I requested from Lucas at the CNCF for a couple of reasons. Reason number one is over the last year and a half, we've added a bunch of process to contributing things to Kubernetes. And anytime that we add extra steps, there's always the concern that this will deter new contributors and new participants in the project. The second reason is, honestly, I went to somebody's talk about episodic contributors to, occasional contributors. People who contribute part-time might contribute one thing per release or whatever. And their importance as a measure of project health, because if you're getting a lot of new and episodic contributors, then it shows it's still relatively easy to become a contributor to your project. Whereas if that's in decline, then it's a sign that you have a problem in people becoming contributors who were not previously contributors. So the chart that you're seeing right now is issues filed by people who are either filing their first issue. So the top set of lines are the number of issues. So the green shade there is number of issues from people filing issues for the very first time. And the blue line with brown shading is number of issues from people who only file issues occasionally. And only occasionally is measured by the number of issues that they filed in the last year. The on the DevStats ticket, there's the actual math for that. And as you can see there, that is still going up. It is still steadily going up. We're still getting more new issues and occasional issue filing from people. If you can click on the other graph, the one that's yeah, there we go. Okay, and this is the one that I was more concerned with, which is new and occasional whoops, what happened there?
Paris, looks like you stopped sharing. Oh, there it goes.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. New and occasional contributors, and by contributors we mean PRs, pull requests. So now in this case, and again, that bottom, one of the things that's actually interesting here is that the count of contributors is higher than the count of PRs, which I need to actually look into. But we're also seeing still steady growth here. There is something on July 31st, which I believe is actually a data artifact. I've been looking into why, because there's no particular reason why the number of PRs that we have would triple on July 31st of last year. So I've been trying to trace down where that came from. So ignore that spike for now because I don't believe that it's real data. But for the rest of this, again, we're looking at people who are contributing their very first PR, people who are contributing a PR who don't contribute more than 3 or 4 PRs per year. And what the contribution trend with that. And again, it's still looking pretty good despite the process that we've added to the PR process, et cetera. Despite the growth of regular contributors to the project, we are also still getting quite a number of new and occasional PR contributors. So this is a graph to watch as we add other things, like if we were looking at, finally, for example, breaking up the repositories, breaking up Kubernetes, which has been discussed. If we were to do that, this would be one of those graphs that we would want to watch and see whether that increased the number of new and occasional contributions or whether it decreased it, because it's one of the things it should affect. So that is your graph of the week.
Awesome. Great. Any questions for Josh? I can't actually see the chat window now, so...
There's nothing in chat.
Okay, awesome. All right, moving on to SIG updates. Robert, were you able to make it? I know he was on the way to the office, and he might or might not be able to make it today for a SIG cluster lifecycle update. And if he isn't going to respond, SIG leads, please look at the top of the document for the SIG schedule for when you're scheduled to give a SIG update for the community meeting. And if you have a hard time with that, please let us know ahead of time. Moving on to announcements. Just a quick reminder, the Contributor Summit's happening on May 1st. That's the day before KubeCon. And you can find that information at the link provided. Josh and I kind of bashed out a draft schedule that will be landing on that GitHub page this week. And we'll be reminding you basically every week from now on until KubeCon. Shout outs for this week. So this is a little program that we started. Anytime you see someone in the community doing something above and beyond or something really great, go into #shoutouts on Slack and let us know. And every week we'll read out all the people that are doing a great job. So this week, I'm going to butcher this, but Zhanghu Chu, did I get that right? Anyway, it's written down on the notes. Sorry for butchering that. who's done many high-quality API server pull requests in the past 2 weeks. And then Mario Loria and Ilya Dmitrichenko for helping us out with the user office hours. Now, ContribX, who kind of runs this, was at a face-to-face meeting, so a lot of developers weren't chased down and things like that. But just a reminder that we always need help from existing Kubernetes developers to answer user questions. It's 1 hour a month, and it makes me sad that we only got one person in Europe and one person in the US. They're by themselves, swamped with user questions. So shout out to them for doing a great job and soldiering on. If you're interested or your organization is interested in helping us kind of commit to this more and give us help, we would really appreciate it. And just reach out to me or follow the link which has the contact information. And lastly, meet our contributors, which is basically we have existing Kubernetes contributors there, and new people who are interested in participating can ask them questions about workflow or about contributions. And it goes on March 7th, which is the second Wednesdays of every month. Did I get that right, Paris? I think. So on the second Wednesdays of every month, we have basically developer office hours, and third Wednesday, we have user office hours. So we've done a few tests. The last ones went well. We had new contributors asking a lot of questions on how to get involved, and we shared tips and tricks, how to URL hack to find the exact thing you need in GitHub, things like that. And that'll be in #meet-our-contributors in Slack. And we're also looking for people to do a real live peer code review as part of a session there so that we can record that and capture it and make some documentation out of that. And with that, that's all the announcements I have. Does anybody else in the community have anything else they would like to announce or anything?
I'd like a quick announce. I'm looking for volunteers from the SIGs to participate in a webinar about what's new in 110. It will be, I believe, on the 14th.
Okay. If you could add that to the community notes, because we do send those out to the mailing list as well to catch people who can't make this meeting.
Thank you much.
That would be great. Anybody else? Look at that. You get over 40 minutes back. So thanks, everyone, and we'll see everyone next week.
Bye,
Thanks a
y'all.
lot.